Hey, my name's Matthew Saville, and I'm the writer and director of JUNIPER. JUNIPER is about a suicidal teenager whose alcoholic grandma comes to live with him. It's about family, it's about human connection, and it's a love story between a young boy and his grandma, and how they sort of change places, where he gets to a place where he's ready to live and enjoy his life, and she gets to a place where she's ready to die. I never really knew my grandma, and she moved in to our family home when I was 17. She broke her leg and sort of dominated our house, and she drank a bottle of gin a day. So it was quite a crazy experience. She was English and she terrorized us, but she was a real character. So my first meeting with my grandmother was hello. I mean, I'd met her when I was very young, but it was like, hello, come in, turn around. And she sort of checked me out and then bought me some new clothes and said I dressed like shit. So that's kind of the inspiration. But I was there with her all the way to her death. And I also went to a school with quite a high suicide rate. And so I suppose it comes from marrying those ideas. I sort of felt quite early on that it was a cinematic idea, but I suppose when it changed from becoming a coming of age story to what I would call a kind of a platonic romance, that's when I kind of knew it was something a bit better, or that was something that could be transformative. Yeah, when I realized it was a love story. Yeah, I always felt I needed a Charlotte Rampling. Essentially what it was is that we just reached out, wrote her a letter and let her read it, and she read it and liked it. I travelled to Paris to meet her, and I was very nervous, had a couple of gin and tonics before going into the meeting, but we kind of gelled. And like for me, it's really important with something like this that it becomes a kind of collaboration with an actor, especially if it's someone like Charlotte, where they've got a lot to offer outside of just being in front of the camera, and so I think it was a kind of a process of letting her know that I was the sort of person that we would work together to create something wonderful. Martin, always liked Martin. I remember seeing him actually in broken English for the first time, but also, I grew up with Short and Street when he was Leonard. So I've always liked him and always thought he was a really strong actor, and when it came to filling that role, it was about approaching him, he liked it, and then it was about us making sure that we were going to work in the right way together. And his offers, in terms of making that character work and become more sympathetic and have been really helpful, and I think that's sort of come through in the overall feeling of the script. I auditioned George with self-tapes, and I'm just going to say he was impressive from the start, and I feel like he's a real discovery. I didn't meet him in person until he was already cast. It was only on Skypes and so on. He has a personal experience and a connection to this character that is quite organic. I didn't know this at the time, but you could sense that he had a connection to the pain that Sam was feeling, but it came out of him in a non-forced way. It just is kind of there, and it was very hard to find that It was really hard to find that. So he was just incredibly talented. I'm really proud of his work. I think the key thing for me was I always felt this film would work if we believe in Ruth and we believe in George. And when I saw that starting to happen and their chemistry, I felt that was truly exciting. It was my first feature, but I pretty much had the most experienced heads of department in New Zealand. I know a lot of people walked away from the experience of it feeling it was like one of the more enjoyable film experiences that they'd had, and we really were a family. I felt supported by everyone, that they really believed in the story and they wanted to make it as strong as possible. So that was great. Yes, it's daunting, but I enjoyed shooting it. I was broken at the end of the 5 weeks, but it's a powerful experience seeing something you've thought about for so long and put so much effort into come together, and it's quite humbling. Yeah. I think stories about true human connection are more interesting than they've ever been, and I think this kind of story is universal. Everyone has families, and families are difficult, and forgiveness and all those things are kind of universal themes that I think anyone will be able to respond to. And I think, to be honest, like old George and Charlotte, you know, people are going to enjoy watching it. It's funny and it's moving. Yeah. I hope people walk away having a transformative and slightly cathartic experience, but essentially with a sense of hope and happiness. Working with Mark and Mullen, I got a sense of there's kind of like an old soul quality about his music and about those guys. They really, really, really get the sensibilities of it. So that's been really, really quite wonderful. And hopefully that's sort of coming across in the way we use music and score in the film.